And this is where we transition to the left part of the canvas. How does your product work? If you're one of the many distribution channels, you have to set up the lowest price, but then the cost of resources should be low as well. In the case of booking websites, those are rates that are exclusively negotiated with airlines. Those are called intellectual resources. There are human resources in Expedia too. Someone has to answer customer calls and handle non-automated processes. There are also, of course, physical and financial resources. Creating value propositions, supporting customer relationships, and keeping your channels running will need different resources. The way you handle those resources is described using key actions. What does a company have to do to keep the business model working? Sometimes it's delivering pet food, or producing it, or managing an offline store. Sometimes it's continuously developing and maintaining a platform that thousands of people rely on every day. And sometimes it's providing your expert opinion to help people solve their problems. But not all activities that have to be done to run a business should be done by the business alone. To distribute efforts, a company creates partnerships. The main reason companies create partnerships is to optimize, sometimes even with the help from competitors. For example, a hotel can set up higher prices on its own website, but most travelers book via booking websites, so they publish their listings there too. The other classic situation is between buyers and suppliers, and sometimes they can be competitors too. An e-commerce business alone has dozens of partners, from payment systems to shipping companies to infrastructure support and even outsourced customer service. You can make it alone in the business world, but sometimes it's simply cheaper to team up. This is the last block of the canvas because the costs can be calculated only after understanding your resources, activities, and partnerships. Some business models are defined by their low costs. Low-cost carriers or even your local Dollar Tree have one big value. They are so cheap and the quality is as low as they can get away with. The opposite side of the scale are value-driven companies. They create value and ask for adequate pay. If they find a customer segment willing to pay for that, it's a win. But most businesses fall somewhere in between. They willingly minimize some costs but raise the ones that bring the most value. Many hotels just don't have marketing budgets to compete with Expedia, but they can drive up the value proposition and create firm, long-lasting relationships with their guests. How you will juggle your costs will determine how much profit you're gaining, and ultimately whether your model is working or not. This is a rough business model canvas of Uber. And this one is for LinkedIn. It helps to look at the canvases on the web and break apart the different business models of the top companies. What are the key activities of, say, Airbnb compared to a manufacturing company like Tesla? What's different in the Netflix and Hulu value propositions? Basically, how is this company successful? And how can you make yours successful too? Did you know that 90% of startups fail? Founders lack experience and are driven by passion. Their pricing is often inadequate and the planning is fuzzy. But most importantly, the product/market fit is just not there. The business model canvas allows you to bridge the gap between expectations and reality and act as a wake-up call for when you start chasing disruption and risking sustainability. Mature companies use the canvas to innovate and diversify. The canvas allows you to drive change, as it's easy to illustrate why certain business decisions make financial sense and which business model sectors are underdeveloped. And initially, the canvas makes it easier to learn. Exploring others' business models, analyzing past mistakes, prototyping, and testing can all be done without committing all of your time and money. What do you think? Do you think the canvas is actually helpful or overhyped? Either way, we hope you learned something new today. See you in the next one.